As the leader of the Booner Pack, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the f*** up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juices pumping, boys.
Welcome to Crunch Time Sports with Jeff, Booner, Lukas, and Gentry. It is Friday, November 8th, and we are back. All right, we got a Friday show for you guys planned. Big show. Lots to get to. Lions, Texans, okay. NFL Pick'em. Caleb will be joining during NFL Pick'em. He's on the stand. He's on the stand this week. Not the most lucky guy. Not the most lucky guy when it comes to anything in life right now.
Yeah.
Bets, picks. He's just taking a lot of L's.
You got back on track last night, didn't he?
We did.
I think we all did. I think
As a team, as a fellow teammate, we love him for that. You know what I mean?
I think
It's.
Oh.
I would say it's when he gives out these like mega will max mega plays. That's when it's like it's automatic loss, which is funny. It's just like when you give out like the biggest plays that he's like, this is my most confident play of the day. Fade it. Like that's where we're at with it. Because he's like I'll text him and he'll be like, yeah, I gave out this play like on Twitter, and then he's like, dude, I hit like all these other plays on the side, like college basketball, college football, this, and he's like, just anytime I give a play out publicly, it's like an automatic loss. It's one of the most. I think that's the curse is giving it out publicly.
He probably had like a Zay Flowers parlay just stashed in secret, hoping it was gonna hit, and that thing just sunk. I think that was the only player that really like. Because he didn't shit the bed. He had like 5 catches for 34 yards. So it's not terrible. But if you bet on any offensive player last night, I feel like you won. Like there was so many yards in that second half offensively.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I won a little parlay. We're getting back in the win column here. 3 of my last 4. I'm catching a little heater.
What I hate, and I love all of the boys so much, none of the boys sent their parlays to me. And I have my parlay, which I always share with everyone. All of you guys this morning send your guys' winning parlays. No one sent me a parlay. And I'm the only one out of everyone that lost. I'm the one that shares it. And
so here's my explanation on that.
I would have taken maybe 1 or 2 of them. I would have taken something. My thing is when someone sends me a parlay, I have to do it because if it hits and I miss, I'm mad. So it's just like after this morning, I love the, here we go, boys. All the boys got someone, and I had queued up in my text message both of my parlay losses, and I was like, I'm just not going to send them. I'm just going to let the boys have this one.
Over there.
I let the boys get the W here. I wish they would have sent me. I wish one of them would have sent me a parlay. All 4 of the boys won.
Well, here's the thing.
It's all right. No, I love the boys.
Here's the thing. All right. And it's not you. Okay. And you're all right. You're correct. Booner always takes care of the boys. All right. Here's the thing with me. I'll explain my position. I've been losing so much. I thought, you know what? Let me do a parlay and I won't tell a soul. Let's see if it's
fair.
See if it you know what I mean? If it helps. And it helped. So I don't know. I'm not like maybe a superstitious guy, but it worked. I don't know.
Listen
from the practice squad again, Hefe.
Yeah,
it's not the fact that
regular season form.
Yep,
I love it. I love that you boys. It's not the fact you boys hit. Like I'm like, let's go, fellas. It's the fact the boys sent it after the wins and celebrating, and I'm just like in the dumps, like, dude, I couldn't catch a win. I gave all of the boys a Jamar Chase touchdown, and it hit. None of the boys wanted to send me their parlay. And I took care of the boys last night, and this morning I wake up for work and I have a million texts of like, let's go, fellas. And I'm like,
to be fair, Boone, it's not as bad as when Gentry hits because Gentry doesn't tell a soul. And the other day he was like back on track after his 4K hit like a couple weeks ago. And it was like 10 to win 500. And it was like more than 8 legs. It was an NBA parlay, just not a soul, not a piece.
Yeah.
He is superstitious about it though. I understand.
Yeah. No, I get it. I mean, speaking of the game last night, real quick, you know what they reminded me of? I saw the 2 teams and just the lack of defense, like on both sides. And you look at the Ravens, that's secondary Swiss cheese. I mean, you've been saying it.
Not even just their secondary, Hefe.
But here's the thing I think about compared to the Lions. We always nitpick their defense, but look at those 2 defenses. Like that is, and it actually it puts into perspective probably how underrated the Lions defense is, or how disrespectful sometimes. I think even I can be, it's like the offense is so great. You kind of pick on the defense. You're like, well, this or that. When you watch the Ravens, you're like, this team's a contender. I mean, like offensively they are, but defensively, like, holy hell, man. Like it's makes it put into perspective how maybe over the top I've been on the defense. I will say,
That's fair.
Because they're like, look at them, a top 4 team. Look at that defense, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible.
I think the counterpart is it happened last night against the Cincinnati Bengals defense, which is horrendous. But you put Baltimore up against the other teams in the NFL that are truly up their caliber wise. How much do you trust for them to be able to throw themselves back in the game rather than run themselves back in the game? Because Lamar, a great athlete, but for him to drop back 35 plus times is not how the Baltimore Ravens are going to win games. And I think the thing with Baltimore is, especially this year, you're so used to Baltimore. When you think of the Baltimore Ravens, think of Ed Reed, think of Ray Lewis, you think of those defense, even with John Harbaugh, like there's not many years where they do not have a good defense. But when you watch them this year, you're like, it's just the secondary. It's more than just the second. Like they that whole defense right now is just not good. And they had Kyle Hamilton injured last night. I'm not sure what ended up happening with that. I just saw that he went down. But if he goes down for the Baltimore Ravens, like they're in a bad spot. Like come the postseason, I think there's a very real chance if they don't get that defensive side of the ball figured out, which I think it's hard to at this point. Now that they're past the trade deadline, they're not going farther than the second round.
Yeah, I mean it does. And to kind of tie it back to the Lions here, I mean even in the trade market, I mean they traded for Deontay Johnson. He didn't even do anything. I mean, and they look like they had Wallace, the receiver they drafted. That's kind of been like a jag, and he had 100 yards. He had like an 80-yard TD. And then you look at the Lions, they go and acquire. I mean, look, they acquire Za'Darius Smith. He's having by the way, Za'Darius Smith's having like a world tour. He's at the Pistons game. He's enjoying life. He went to Bar Louie, ate for free. He's really he's a celebrity here in Detroit. I think so you could tell how happy he is, by the way, like going from the Cleveland Browns to the Detroit Lions. Like that man is fired up. I'm sure he wants to play. We'll find out. He's questionable right now. We'll get to the injury report in a little bit, but I cannot wait to see Za'Darius suit just out there wrecking plays. I cannot wait. I'm excited.
Can we just like reminisce? I don't know if reminisce is the word. Can we just like all of these videos, like he's at the Pistons? Can we just watch everything and just be like, this is the greatest day of all of our lives? Like besides winning a Super, like they made a trade for a player. Like the Lions are in a position to make a move like that. I saw King put a tweet up. I don't have the tweet. I can go get it in a little bit if we want to see it. But he put a tweet up. It was like this feels like they did him in the locker room and kind of his conference. I don't know if it's a conference because he was just at his locker, but they're interviewing him at his locker, and he's like, "This gives me Rasheed Wallace 2004 vibes." Like they trade for him before kind of winning a championship, and it's like that final piece to going on and winning a championship. And as I'm starting to see it a little bit, like listening to the way he's going about like what he's saying and answering these questions and what he wants to do in Detroit, and now going to the Pistons game tonight and just embracing everything here in Detroit, it's like, yeah. This man is like, it's literally like an 04 when the Pistons traded for Rasheed Wallace, and it was like the final infinity stone to go and win a championship. Like this is the last piece needed to get the job done, and he's embracing it. And obviously we need to see him on the field, but just like culture wise, it's like that was always the thing with the Lions with the trade deadline was like, do they get a culture fit? Za'Darius instantly is coming in. It's like him jogging on the field. The man's giving Dan Campbell like the biggest hug in the world. He's already dancing with the defensive line crew. Like it's like this is his home. This is where he belongs. Can we watch all these videos? I mean, I don't know if it gets you guys. I just sat there all day today while I was working.
Many of them.
Dude, I just sat there all day just
play
scrolling.
This.
I watched every video. I watched everything. It's so good. It's like such a good feeling.
So the Lions put this out. By the way, I want to add in just a little nugget here. I thought this was great. Number 99 couldn't have it initially because Broderick Martin has it.
Yep.
He came to Detroit. You know what he did? Called Broderick Martin. He said, "Here's a check."
Giving him something.
Oh, he gave him. He said three. He was 3 zeros. Involved somewhere in there, 3 zeros. I don't know.
Broderick not playing. He's probably
With 3 zeros would only be like 5K or something, right? Like
3 zeros.
Maybe.
I wouldn't take it that way.
whatever it was. I mean, Broderick got something. I don't know. Maybe he misspoke. I don't know. He got paid for it essentially. So he was wearing 99 now, and Broderick was switched it up. So shout out Broderick Martin, by the way, being a team player. But here's Za'Darius Smith. He was speaking to the media. You could tell his energy is infectious. He is in. This is like the biggest thing when we were talking about trade candidates and players that fit with the Lions. The thing I kept harping on is like the character thing, like the thing that the Lions care about so much. He is all about that. Like let's listen to Za'Darius Smith kind of speak to the media here. This is posted on the Lions Twitter, but here's Z-Man.
I'm not gonna say pressure, man. I'm gonna be Z, man. Come in here and be myself, man. Energy guy, man. Help the younger guys. You know, Pascal, man, was a guy that went to Kentucky. So to be around great guys and a great group, man, is big, man. I just actually had a chance to go out to practice today. And man, the things that we're doing in practice, man, I see why this football team is so dominant. I'm not gonna say pressure, man. I'm gonna be Z.
Love it.
He's so chill. He was at the Pistons game. Johnny Kane's interview him. He's like, 6'4", 270. Is that right? He goes, what you trying to say? Johnny Kane's like, no, nothing. I was just asking. I could tell that dude, he's the most down-to-earth human being.
I hope they mic him up too. Not this week, but
yeah.
Like against the Bulls or something on Thanksgiving, mic him up.
Are we allowed to play this video, Jeff?
Yeah.
Dude, this man, the only thing I like in this whole, there's two things I love in this video is the man is already just like with the D line, just like, it looks like he's the captain in there. Like he runs in and starts dancing with all of them and they're all around him like, yeah, instantly, dude. Like right when and then Dan Campbell just give like the biggest, dude, it's such a, like, it feels like a perfect move. It's so good.
Yes, sir. Go.
Smile, dude. Let's go.
Like, thank God I'm out of Berea, Ohio. Imagine practicing in Berea, Ohio every day.
But he just established himself. He walked in the middle. He said, "Hey, I'm running this thing now, boys. This is my line now, boys."
That's
not happy. That was Pat O'Connor's role before.
Look, they love the boys. Love him too. Look, him and Dan.
Dude, Dan is like, he's a big dude too.
Dude.
Dan's like right eye to eye with him.
Like, he's already in there with the ones. You see that? He's ready to go Sunday, I think.
Yeah. I think if I'm him too, like, especially because even if he plays, like, I don't think he's going to get a full workload compared to like the rest of the regular season. But if you're Za'Darius, like, I don't know why you wouldn't want to get out there and play either. Like, I doubt he's thinking, like, this could be my bye week. Like, no, you have a chance to go do something for the Detroit Lions on primetime on Sunday night and show, like, how valuable you are as a player and why other teams should have traded for you. So I think he wants to be out there, I bet.
I think he mentioned today that he was like, I want to play. Like, I would rather be out there Sunday. I think he basically said in his interview, he was like, it's up to Dan at the end of the day. He was like, if Dan wants me to play. And then he also said, like, learning. It was funny. He was like, just learning all the blitzes and all of that. Like, I need to make sure I'm on the same page as everyone. And he's like, who knows what he was like, who knows in the next 24 hours, I'm going to be to work. I'm ready. He was like hinting at, like, he's like going to be good to go. So I'm pumped up. And he was at the Pistons game tonight. The man's a legend.
Hey. Those Pistons are playing hard now. They're playing hard. They're up 13 right now. Look at it.
He's got not the right Brian Brand shirt, but he's got one on.
Yeah, it's still nice. Shout out Made in Detroit. But yeah, that is awesome. I mean,
absolute legend.
Yeah, he's having a blast, dude. I mean, he's having a blast. Yeah, I mean, hey, he may have the MVP on his team. I don't know. Apparently, according to NFL on Fox, they put out a graphic, and they did a fan voting process on who's the midseason MVP. Fans voted on Jared Thomas Goff. Okay. Jared Goff, midseason award, MVP, most valuable player. Okay. Okay. I have to be honest. Trust circle. Okay, trust circle. I just got to be honest. Okay, I'm bouncing. This is my thought process. I just watched last night. Okay, obviously we won some money on it. I understand Goff has to play. That is fair. We'll see what he does on Sunday. It's going to be a battle. I don't know, boys. Lamar Jackson is balling. Like I know he's 1-2. I know, and maybe that's like part of it where it's like, do we really got to give this guy another award? I don't know how you don't. I mean, what he's doing this season. I mean, Lamar Jackson, the guy that I always had concerns about, his ability to step back and win a game from the pocket. He's third in passing yards, second in passing touchdowns. He has 2 picks on the year, first in QBR, and throw in 500 plus rushing yards. Like, I don't know, boys. I know that in the Ravens, you can say, well, their defense and all that. To me, that makes his case even better. I mean, he has to deal with that defense. Like, look at what they did at the Bengals. I mean, Joe Burrow had 400 plus yards, and Jamar had 200 and something yards. Like, that's the defense Lamar's kind of working with, and they were down 24-7, excuse me. Clawed back and won, and he had some dimes in that game. I mean, I'm just being, and a week ago, we all agreed Jared Goff's MVP. With new information, Lamar Jackson, to me, has the lead. Like, Goff's going to have a huge game. I mean, he just does to get that. In my opinion, I think what Lamar is doing for the Ravens is just, it's too hard to ignore. It's insane. I'm sorry. And I've had my reservations about, again, his ability to win in the pocket. Guys, he's doing that, like, on an elite level.
Boone, you want to go first, or would you prefer me to?
I'll let you go, because I would love to just, it's like a 1-2 punch, and then it'll be like me at the, we'll like right, finish him.
Monty and Jameer here.
Yeah, a little
okay.
1-2
well,
action.
Jeff, I don't want to take away from anything that you said about Lamar, because it's absolutely true. He's balling right now. His game last night, his performance is great. If you want to talk about after last night, who's the MVP, I think it's clearly Lamar, because he's the one that played last night, and there's still a week to go. Through weeks 1 through, what are we in, week 10? Weeks 1 through 10. I don't know how you don't look around the NFL, maybe outside of Josh Allen, and say that Jared Goff is not the best quarterback in the NFL. Jared Goff, I will give you, cannot make the scrambling plays that Lamar Jackson made last night. But if you watch Jared Goff, especially over, how many graphics did we see, especially going 2 weeks ago, where Jared Goff was in his tier of his own with Peyton Manning, with Kurt Warner, all of these guys, because he's not the athlete that Lamar is. But if you just watch the way that Jared Goff is operating right now, he doesn't have the stats that Lamar does, because he doesn't have to be put in that position. Granted, defenses are different, but there is not a better of the thrower of the football this year than Jared Goff. And I think it is a gap. Lamar athletically can do it, but if you're asking me to win a Super Bowl, who would I rather have quarterbacking my team, Jared Goff or Lamar Jackson? I'm taking Jared Goff. Lamar is the better intangible player, but at playing the quarterback position, throwing the football, Jared Goff has it. Jared Goff, especially what hampered him the last couple of seasons, I think this is a huge reason why Goff is playing the way that he is. Jared Goff's pocket awareness is through the roof this year. He's not a mobile quarterback, but his ability to step to one side, step to the other, step up in the pocket, avoid a pressure, even just run for 1 or 2 more yards so you can either throw it away, which he hasn't been doing, because it seems like every game this year, Jared Goff is 12 for 12 at halftime, 0 incompletions, and it's because he's dropping dots. It's not like these wide receivers are schemed open every time. Like, the throws that Jared Goff is making, especially down the field to J-Mo, he's opened this thing up. This is the best season we've seen out of Jared Goff. Lamar Jackson, great season, but who has been the best quarterback in the NFL this year? It is Jared Goff.
I mean, I don't know if Klotz could have said it any better. Like, I think it's easy with Lamar and guys like Jeff. I agree with you, Lamar. Like, yesterday's game, that was an MVP type of game. And guess what? The other MVP type of game he had was versus the same exact team he played last night, the Cincinnati Bengals. Not a great football team, is my opinion right now. So he went out there and took advantage of that. I just think, like, Goff is in his position. Like, he is on track to literally have one of the most dominant seasons as a quarterback, like, historically. Like, quarterback percentage, passer rating, like, everything that comes with it. He is just breaking NFL records over the last 4, 5, 6 weeks. And it's just something that the NFL has never seen, literally has never seen. NFL history, the best over that stretch of games. And like Jared, guys, like Klotz, I'm sure you'll agree. The man's like, what he is, like, what they're putting in front of him to do, he has taken advantage of. Like, he has a great defense on the other side, so he's not getting all of these opportunities that Lamar is probably getting, because their defense is so bad. The secondary has been so bad on that team, and they've given up so many points and they give up so many yards, to where like the Lions, like they're getting the third down stops. Like they're getting put in great positions to where Jared's able to go make those plays. So like, I'm going Jared. I think last night, yeah, you could say last night, but I'm with Klotz. Like weeks 1 through 10, outside of this last night, it is Jared Goff. And I think like this graphic here, giving it to Jared Goff, like they are not wrong. It is Jared Goff. Now, if we want to have recency bias and be like, oh, what we saw Thursday Night Football, it's Friday, so we're going to be like, whoa, Lamar. Like, yeah, it was a great game. It was an MVP level game. And we've seen Lamar Jackson do this for years now. We know what he can do. But like season wide, I'm sticking with Jared as of right now. And if he keeps doing what he's doing, like, dude, Jeff, like this guy, like you can look at the stats all you want. Like we're talking about Jared Goff being in this conversation, being outside of the top 10 in passing yards. So like stats at that point, to me, it's a little more irrelevant. It's like, what are you doing with your football team winning games, and how are you controlling the game? And he's literally he's not getting the opportunity to throw for as many yards and touchdowns as Lamar is because of the team he's on. So like starting in the first half, I think it was like 4 straight games being perfect in the first half. Like no quarterback's ever done that. That's insane. Like 18 for 22, 12 for 15, 22 for 25, 18 for 25, 18 for 18, 18 for 23. That's unheard of. That is like, if that was just a couple games, we'd be like, all right, that's pretty. This dude's done it for like 7 straight games. Even Tom Brady, the greatest of all time, is like, I've never seen this before. Never. Like this is something I've never seen a quarterback play at this level before. And it's just like, it's not cute because he doesn't have 25 plus touchdowns right now. And it's not cute because he doesn't have 500 rushing yards. But it's like, this is the best we've seen a quarterback play probably since Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes in 2018 or 19, whenever that big year he had was.
And just one more thing, Jeff, before you rebuttal. I think what really seals it for me is because the highs with Lamar Jackson are so high. But then you see the lows where he's going into Cleveland, he's getting outplayed by Jameis Winston. If you iron both Goff and Lamar Jackson's season out, average everything out as far as performances, what you're watching, I know statistically it might not be the same. I think Goff, just with how steady he's been compared to Lamar, like I said, he's very, very good. But there are games where you're just like, Lamar, what are we thinking there? What are we doing there? Because he's trying to do too much. With Jared Goff, you don't have to worry about that. And I guess it's a discount because he doesn't have that athletic ability. But with Jared, he's just been so steady this year. Lamar's been doop, 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 crash, doop, 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 crash. And that's why I prefer a guy like Jared.
Yeah, I'm not going to, I don't want to like discredit anything Goff's doing. I think it's those two. And the reason why, like, I think for Goff, he's got to continue what he's doing. Yes. But I do disagree with you on just the stats thing. Like, not that it's all stats, but you would agree, I think, with this, you have to have the numbers. I think we all can agree. You got to have the numbers. And that's why the numbers and the record, the team success, like if the Lions are 14-2 and Goff has great numbers and his passer rating is elite, and then yeah, you would give it to Goff. But man, if the Ravens even go on a run and they have like let's say they're a win different, 2 wins, it's close, like 13-14 wins, I think he has a case. I mean,
see, that's Jeff, honestly, I don't disagree with you at all. Like, I think it is Jared and Lamar. And like statistically wise, like if you were just to go base MVP just off who has the best stats in the NFL, like obviously it's going to be Lamar. Like, man has thrown for 24 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, has a handful of rushing touchdowns, 600 rushing yards. Like, obviously statistically wise, it's easy to be like, yeah, Lamar Jackson. I just think like as a whole, everything involved, like, as the value of your team, most valuable, I think you would have to go Goff. But I am with you. Like, they play the Steelers. Like, honestly, I was doing everything in my power last night. I wanted the Ravens to lose, and they should have lost. Like, this is the second time versus the Bengals. They should be 0-2 versus the Bengals right now because they should have lost the first time. And last night they had no reason winning that game because the Bengals basically just handed it to them down the stretch. So it's tough, like, especially if you're cheering for Jared Goff MVP. That was where I was sitting there last night. And I don't want Lamar to like a fall off, but it's like I want Goff to win MVP so bad. I'm sitting in my room last night like please, like come on, Joe Burrow, like get the 2-point conversion, like let's go. And
to what you're saying, like to me, I like you're absolutely right. They should have lost both games, but the fact that they didn't, that adds points like to Lamar. It's like he is. In terms of like most valuable right now, they both have an argument. They do. But
Yep.
like that is what most valuable is. Like you're down 24-7, go win. He's like, okay. And he just figures it out.
That's
you
why
know?
I love both quarterbacks too. Because like Jared, I actually watched an interview to him today. I think it was with Jason Garrett, and like he brought it up. He was like, the one thing that we like, I'm so, like they've gotten so good at, and Jared's so good at being a captain about is like if they're down 10-0, like the other day, or a couple of weeks ago versus the Vikings, down 10-0 right away, or the Titans game, it's a 14-14 game. The adversity of them being able to, like, in the past, it's hard to come back. There's never, now it's like if the Lions went down 14-0 on Sunday right away, it's crazy to think, but like we're sitting back like, all right, this sucks, but like, all right, touchdown, stop, touchdown, we're good, and we're right back in this thing. And I think Lamar's the same way. That's why it's I think it's a great MVP race, honestly. A Goff and Lamar the second half of the season for MVP. Who would have ever thought?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, again, I don't even want to make it like an argument because you guys are speaking facts. I mean, it's close. I don't know the Josh Allen thing. I think he's hanging in there. The only thing that I think hurts Josh Allen is that game. I still think the game against the Texans, like that shit was ugly.
The Baltimore game was tough. He had back-to-back weeks where it was like,
it's tough for him.
it was a 2-week stretch. It was just very, very bad.
I think he's just going to hang in that third spot. And for the, I mean, unless he just goes bonkers, but I think he's just going to hang in that third spot, to be honest.
I will say MVP wise, Josh Allen next year, because like this year, remember, like no one believed in they were like a rebuild. It's supposed to be a rebuild year. All these new players, all the new defense, new weapons. Now next year with Shakir another year, Amari Cooper probably, James Cook. Yeah, like now you're sitting there, Keon Coleman with another year, like not Dalton Schultz, Dalton Kincaid, like Dawson Knox. Like next year, that's the MVP year for Josh Allen.
Knox.
He threw Dawson Knox in there.
Hey, it's a good weapon.
Hey, I actually used to think Dawson Knox was pretty good. And
if they didn't draft Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox was going to be just fine there as their tight end.
I was so confused when they did that, like when they drafted Kincaid, because I thought Knox, he was a top 50. He was a Hunter. He was like an athletic Hunter Henry tight end type of guy.
Yeah, he's fine.
I think they wanted to go that 2 tight end route. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
Because Dawson Knox still plays a ton. Like, he still gets snaps.
Yeah. He's their blocker. He's their Brock Wright.
Yeah, hey, watch your mouth. All right, Brock Wright.
It's not disrespect. Hey, both are very fine tight ends. Very fine.
He's in his own class of tight end too.
True.
And I want to see something real quick. I'm sorry. I saw a comment. I want to.
No, go ahead, because I want to get to the Taylor Decker stuff. Taylor Decker, Will Anderson.
Yeah, I just want to, like, someone said in there, Josh Allen makes a ton of mistakes. Like, guys, he's had 2 interceptions all year. He's been good all year. 17 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and let me see how many rushing he has. And 3 rushing touchdowns. He has 20 total touchdowns. He needs to pick it up because he does have that record that I told you I always use against you guys. What is it? What's the record?
I honestly don't even know.
I think it's like the 40 touchdowns, like back to back,
like
straight years or something. It's like something like that. So he has to get some.
Now they have a competent running back. That's the thing. He never had a running game. He was running in from inside the 5 every time. Now they can use James Cook or shout out Ray Davis. Ray Davis is becoming a Klotzy guy, fellas.
Ray Davis, you would. Ray Davis. Hey, former wide receiver.
Ray Davis. I didn't know all that. Hey, learn something new every day.
I think I'm thinking of.
No, you're thinking of Tyrone Tracy. Yep.
Ball North.
Hey, he's having a season. Yep. He's having a season.
Ball North. That's why you're here. Hey, Taylor Decker struggled a little bit last couple games. He bounced back a little bit last game, but he is ruled out. I didn't even see it coming. Honestly, I had shoulder injury. Didn't even know. I'm actually genuinely curious. Who plays left tackle? Like, is that Skip?
I think so.
I think it is going to be Skip. That was my first thought.
Skip stepping up. Is that what we're getting this week?
Who else? Like, I mean, seriously, like who else?
I don't know.
Giovanni Manu.
Yeah, you ain't throwing
Manu. Don't let
Jeff
Manu get out there.
Do not. Because do not.
He gets out there.
At left tackle.
I think it's Skip.
Yeah, better.
I would even do that.
Fair if it was Manu.
Time to shift over a little bit. Skip, you go to right tackle.
All right. I don't know. I'll say this. I'm sure Panay can. I'm sure he has in his career. I say you just keep Panay at right, and I think they will. Because like he's just so. And I've heard offensive linemen talk about it. It might have been actually like Taylor Lewan or some people have talked about it when those moves make. Like you could be the best in the world, the best of all time. Like the movement, like like it's just different, and to get used to that instantly. It's let Panay just be Panay, and we can run the ball to the right side with Panay. Who is it? Kevin Zeitler over there. We can just roll with that.
Here's the pushback, in my opinion. Not pushback.
They moved him to left tackle last year. Ryan Anton said. So
yes,
maybe they do.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Great point, Ryan. But also on top of that, he is like Panay is the type he could just play it
anywhere.
And you need him to. I mean, that's Jared's blind side, and you're going to put Skip over there. Like they're going to put Daniil Hunter on him.
Yeah,
like poor Skip. Like now Jared's getting blindsided. I would rather the Panay to left just to protect his blind side.
Get that man over there then, huh? Let's get him on left tackle, huh? I'm with you guys now. This is what good teamwork does.
Last thing we need is a Daniil Hunter strip sack, he doesn't even see it coming.
And the thing is like regardless if Panay's on the right side or left, like D'Amico Ryans is an intelligent enough defensive mind to be like, Daniil, you're going to the other side. You're getting the easy one-on-one.
At least Goff will see it. At least he'll see it coming.
Yeah, no, exactly.
That's the only positive there.
I mean, why not? We could throw Panay at center one day. I want to see everything.
I would say that's probably the only position that he wouldn't be like, oh yeah, let's do it. Because center got a little bit more to learn, snapping the ball, whatever. But I mean, we saw Cam Robinson from Minnesota like 2 days after he got traded go out in it was a Sunday night game, and he was out there just fine because they're talking about like a left tackle. You're really not pulling that much in run protection, so you're really just dropping back. You're worrying about the defensive end the whole time, outside linebackers. And Panay, the way that man, how light and he is on his feet and the much ground that he moves, like that Jahmyr Gibbs run in Green Bay, boys.
Oh, dude.
And I said a little bit like while it was happening, but we talk about Tim Patrick's catch radius being a small garage. That's a two-door garage that Panay Sewell can create at any time.
Open door.
It up, pull
every time.
Pull the Prius in, pull the Fiat in, pull the F-150 in, do whatever you need. Panay Sewell is creating the room for it. So he's just a monster.
I've got a serious question about this offensive line thing then. Because when they moved Panay over last year, was it Skip that stepped in at right tackle?
I want to say yeah. I mean,
who'd you have at right guard?
Sorsdal?
Maybe
would
Sorsdal.
That been, I'm trying to think. Yeah, it might.
Sorsdale? I don't know. I'm messing up.
Because my thought process is you want to keep both sides as good as you can, right? Like you don't want to have one side just extremely weak. Yeah. So like if you throw Skipper on the other side and you're over there with Kevin Zeitler as well, is that side like too weak? Like, or do you trust them to be like, all right, you can hold up for a game? Sorsdal was right. I think this was all right. I think, and I could be wrong. I think this was the game where they said, and I remember Dan in the offseason when they were talking about Colby, and I think he brought up that Colby never got really any reps all offseason or through the year at tackle or right tackle until that week.
That was the Falcons game, right?
I think it was, and then they threw him in the fire, and it might have been actually
the Raiders.
Someone got hurt, and he had to step in at tackle right away, and he never played that specifics. I can't remember. I remember Dan talking about it this offseason, and Colby, that was what Colby just got eaten up. And it was like, it was bad.
Poor Colby, man.
And and Dan was like, I just want people to know, like, this man never got reps at this position basically all year, and we threw him in.
Dan had to like put the fire out at the press conference, like the PR.
On me.
Yeah. I would think it would be Skip. Skip big. He's big though. I mean, he move his feet. I like Skip at guard, to be honest, when he's playing guard, because he's so big. He doesn't have to move. Like he doesn't have to be as quick. He's just like a brick wall.
Man, it's huge, dude.
But Sorsdal, maybe the positive there is he's a little smaller, but he gets beat too. I'm gonna be honest, guys. We'll see. Will Anderson I don't know if is he ruled out or is he questionable?
Will Anderson is out. Ruled out.
That's a great thing then, because for a lot of reasons. But number one, if Decker's out, thank goodness he's not there.
Did you see the whole? I mean, the Lions list is insane. I mean, we have the 8 guys that are out on Sunday.
Yeah, let me get that. So I saw it earlier. Yeah,
it's weird to me. Like if he's out,
they're coming back too. You know, they like have to rule them out because they're off IR. So it looks like more like Broderick, Iffy, and Emmanuel Mosley were never on these because they were on. You know what I mean? They weren't even.
It's just weird. Like Iffy, he just was like out for a couple weeks with the ankle. He's been full practice all week long. So is Emmanuel Mosley. Like Emmanuel, I think he was just practicing full, and I think he's gonna be like 3 weeks. But like Iffy, like I felt like Iffy was gonna have and Broderick too. Like I thought Iffy and Broderick were like a for sure Sunday go.
they're going to let that 3 week, not all 3 weeks, but they're going to let at least a week go by. They got 3 weeks to I guess to get them right. A couple weeks. Maybe they don't want to rush them back.
Yeah, with how this Houston offense is looking too, the Aaron Glenn, Dan Campbell, they're probably pretty confident they can keep doing what they've been doing without adding Iffy and Emmanuel Mosley back to this lineup. Just because, we've talked about it, whether they can keep it going or not. Adding Za'Darius Smith definitely will help so. But the way that they've been playing, top 5 defense in the NFL without those guys, and the Houston offense that just lost on primetime in New York. Tank Dell just got banged up today as well. I know they're bringing Nico Collins back, but he's not going to be full go. This defense is going to be able to take advantage of that Houston Texans offense one way or another. So they're probably just like to Jeff's point, wait it out, make sure they're completely good to go. And then who do you have coming in next week? I believe Jacksonville's next week. I could be wrong.
And Trevor Lawrence is hurt right now.
So imagine then able to just be coming back against Jacksonville with no Christian Kirk. Like, you can allow them to – the game's going to be a little bit slower. They're going to be playing with the lead, so there's not much pressure. Get the confidence going. Because those next couple of weeks, I think they got Indy and then the Packers, the Bears, one of the two.
I mean, I want to mention this as well. I mean, you kind of put the beat down a little bit on the Packers, and how many guys on here played in that game? Decker, Jalen Reeves-Maybin.
The Decker one is such an interesting.
Yeah, and Germ is, I think that's a tough one. Special teams reasons and like linebacker depth in general. You never want to see Germ out.
Yeah, it's a long list.
The other guys didn't even play last week. I mean, Malcolm Rodriguez didn't. Za'Darius just got traded for, and Emmanuel Mosley and Iffy didn't play, and Broderick didn't play. So they're fine. I mean,
I just think the worst part of it, I guess it's like a good and a bad thing. Like, the defense has been playing good the last few weeks, but like, you're just sitting here waiting for some reinforcements on defense. Like, Broderick would be big time to be able to get back. And he's out. Like, it's all outside of Taylor Decker, it's all defense. Like, you would love to have Broderick. Germ is the massive player. Emmanuel Mosley, the linebacker, Rodrigo out. Like the secondary, like Iffy. Like, think about the amount of times that we mentioned Iffy over the last 4 weeks when Brian Branch was out for an injury, and then he gets kicked out, and you're like, all right, you need an Iffy, and it's like Brandon Joseph has had to step up multiple times. It's like, I was hoping this week would be the week would say, all right, we have some reinforcements now. Like, here we go. And it's just another one of those weeks to where if like a guy goes down mid-game, you're relying on now I'm not saying a practice squad guy, but a deep bench guy to step up on the road in a big game, which is like, how many times are they going to be able to do that?
What's your guys' I guess concern level with the Decker thing? Because I do, as much as we have been harping on Decker's play the last couple weeks, and he played better last week, I do think it's a big deal. Tackle depth is already hard to come by as it is in the league. No one really has backup tackles that are solid. I mean, it just doesn't happen. If they're solid, if they're good enough, they're usually starting, or some teams trading for them. This Texans team, I know Will Anderson's out, but they still got a good defensive line. So they're going to, D'Amico Ryans, like you said, Klotz, you're going to find a way to kind of abuse that offensive line. That's the only, I mean, that injury to me it's kind of a bigger deal than probably people just looking at it. But everyone else, I'm not too concerned. The Decker thing has me a little, we'll see. But it could be Panay, I guess. I guess no offense to Taylor, but
I mean, either way, somebody's got to step up. But when I look at this offense, you look at Panay Sewell, Frank Ragnow, stop there. If you have those two and a bunch of backups, you're probably sitting at a top 10 offensive line in the league. Now you add in the way that Kevin Zeitler's been playing, especially recently, and then Graham Glasgow. Even if you don't have Taylor Decker, this offensive line for Detroit's a top 3 offensive line in the league. And the way that they can run and play the quick game, the conversation that we just had, the efficiency that Jared Goff is operating at, I think when they don't want to run the ball with no Taylor Decker, you're not going to want Jared Goff dropping back for 3 to 4 seconds trying to get a deep shot going. You want to try to piece apart this Houston Texans defense, especially because they run a lot of man. They're being blitzing a lot, given the fact that Decker's out. You got to make Goff uncomfortable. So it lowers it as far as the confidence level, but I don't think this is going to be anything dramatic. Sure, you could see that there's probably a sack or two more, but Taylor Decker has been playing to Taylor Decker level as of lately anyways. So there's always been kind of that concern. It's just a little bit more under the microscope now. Concern level, if 1 is not panicked at all and 10 is slamming the red button, I'm probably at like a 5. Like, it's Taylor Decker's a good left tackle to have out there, but this offensive line and offense is just so good around him that it's going to affect it, but not that much.
I'll say this, Jeff. I know you might think it's a little worrisome. We've seen other guys, other offensive linemen on this Lions team go down, and they've been able to figure things out. A couple weeks ago, remember Graham had to jump into center and you had to move things around. Yodi came in and did pretty good. So I don't know. I don't think it's like one of these situations to where it's a worrisome, like they're not going to be able to be. You know who they have on their side, which makes us that much better? Ben Johnson. Like, Ben Johnson's going to make sure the scheme and everything. I'm sure 2 days ago they knew that Taylor Decker might not have a chance to play, and I'm sure they had a game plan instantly. Like, this is what our game plan is going to be if Taylor Decker doesn't play, because obviously we were going to move Panay or do this or do that to where they're going to be able to, extra tight end or have D-Mon in their block and an extra blocker in the pass. And then in the run, they're going to have different schemes and different play calls to be able to kind of help that out and help Skipper out. I don't think it's going to be one of those situations to where it's like Jared Goff's about to get sacked 10 times. Like I don't. And it's like they are catching a break that like Taylor's down and then Will Anderson's out. Like that's like it's a pretty big 1-for-1 basically. Like that on there. Like Will Anderson has 7.5 sacks on the year.
He's
one of the best in the NFL as a rookie or not a rookie. Sorry,
second year player.
Second year player. Like he's taking that jump. So like 7.5 then is like, oh, like that's a big time player to be missing. And I know that they have a great defensive line top to bottom. Like Danielle Hunter's still going.
But you're right.
But that's a big, like, all right, we lost one of our tackles. That's like, I'm not going to say that's their Panay Sewell, but that, like, when you look at it, like, who's their best D lineman? It's been him, and he's the one that's out. So luckily, that's kind of a 1-for-1 situation. And I think Ben's been dialed in. He's one of the best in the league. He is the best in the league at what he does. I'm sure he has a game plan that's going to fit around Skipper to make sure that he's not putting him in bad spots. Did you guys hear how Ben, like, as much as we don't think, did you guys hear how Ben game plans? Like, I think it's a lot more like what's the word like I'm looking for here, boys? Like, and I don't even know. Like, dude, this guy like mentioned in the press conference the other day, they look into literally everything. Ben looks into his play calling, guys, when they were in, I think it was Dallas, and how the sun comes through the stadium. He said they have certain, like, they went and looked at the time of the game time and through the first to like second quarter and third quarter where the sun would be shining if they're going this way, so they don't call certain plays if the sun's going into wide receiver and quarterback's eyes. Like, they look at all of that and detailed. Thank you, Brad Holmes Aura. That's why you're Brad Holmes Aura. Detailed. Like, it's insane. And Ben said they do that for every game. Like in Green Bay, like the wind, what they think the wind will be, the rain, like everything. Like, I never even thought about the sun angle or anything. So I'll tell you what, if Taylor Decker, he's out and Skip steps in, I promise you they have a game plan to help out Skipper as much as possible to make sure they're not putting everything on him.
Dude, I mean, are we going to skip over how Ben Johnson's like just on a bunch of Adderall, just locked in?
Crazy, dude.
Matchups? I mean, this dude is just.
When I heard that, I was like,
he just looks like Jason Kabinda in that one photo when Dan was speaking. He's just dialed into these plays. That is insane. Actually, I did not even know that he was looking at the sun, the timing of the light. I mean, let's be, and I don't mean this as like a shade. I really don't. I'm just being truthful. Like, thank God Dan has him, because you think Dan's going to do that? Like, you think Dan's gritty football. You think Dan's looking at the rising sun and how it affects
30 seconds. I wouldn't be shocked if Dan was the one that brought that to Ben and said, "Hey, that is a Dan Campbell thing to be like."
Dan's talking about
the sun. Yes, dude. Dan would
be where he played. He played in Dallas. You know what it's like to try to get. You're like,
I could see them sitting in a conference room going over some stuff, and Dan being like, "Hey Ben, do we look at the sun? Do we look at the sun angles? Are we took that into consideration?" Dude, Dan, again, this is one of those things where people think Dan's a meathead. Dan is probably the guy that's sitting there bringing like, let's check out the grass here. Let's see, like, how's the grass look on Sunday? What are we looking at here? Is the moon going to be out? Like, how's the moon? What's the aura like there? Like, Dan's probably all in on all of that stuff.
Yeah. Dude. How close are we to the equator? I mean, he's one of the most random
all the
fucking things.
I bet there's so many suggestions that Dan makes that people kind of like laugh at first, and then they realize he's being serious, and they're like, "Why?" And he's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa," and you're like, "Oh, like yeah, you might be onto something there, Dan."
I don't
know. He's so good too. Oh my gosh! And by the way, too, Ryan, I think it was Ryan that put it in the chat. Houston announced today, and this has to be on purpose. Like, they're opening the roof for the game. Like, they're making it an outdoors game. They announced today, they were like, the roof will be open Sunday. I don't even know if it's going to rain or anything. I think that's a smart move for an away team. Rain, shine, or snow. dude, rain, shine, or snow versus the Lions. And I know we just did what we did versus Green Bay.
That's a mistake.
But it's like, again, if Dan Campbell had a retractable roof and he wanted any advantage, Dan Campbell would be like, open that thing. Here we go. Like, yeah.
It's like snow coming in. We want to play in this weather. Here's the problem. That plays to the Lions' strengths. I mean, you want to open up the roof? Okay.
I wonder what the weather in Houston's like on Sunday.
I mean, what are we doing?
Look
Let's not act like that roof being closed doesn't benefit Stroud. I mean, that dude's, he's had some of his best games in that stadium. I mean, he's
80 and sunny, so we're good. Get the breeze in there.
Maybe the sun.
Yeah, Jared Goff loves. Yeah, they need to check out the sun, make sure that's all good. Wind angles, when the roof's open, does the wind come in this way or this way? We need to figure all that out.
Yeah, I honestly, I didn't even know they're opening the roof either. Like let's say hypothetically it was raining. Okay, we just got done with a game and playing in rain, and we ran the ball all over the Packers. Like that's probably not the best idea. But the indoor narrative, there's not.
Steve, that's so funny, dude.
Open the roof so sound goes up and out, dumbasses. Hey,
makes it quieter for us.
Lions fans.
Yeah, actually, Steve's right. What the fuck are they doing? I mean, that's a great point. I didn't even think about that. Why would you? I don't know. Whatever. We'll see how that works out.
Dude, imagine Anakin said they should have Ford Field retractable. Like, if I was the head coach, if I was Dan Campbell, and if it was retractable, I would have it closed all year until December. And like every time it snowed in the game, I'd be like, let's open it up. We're playing in the snow today.
Like the Dolphins or something, like a wet,
in the the Rams in the playoffs, the LA team, just open it up.
Open that bitch up.
Let them play in the cold today.
It's like a big button on his desk. Just boop.
Yeah, just like.
Yeah, it's like the Death Star. I mean, what are we? This is like.
Oh, that is so funny.
They got Metallica playing as it opens.
Yeah, as it's opening. I mean, you think that'll be more of a? I think most stadiums will have that type of stuff, the retractable roof and stuff. I think that has.
Yeah, but they better never, ever, ever make it retractable. That's fine. You keep a way to make it a dome in Detroit. I don't care what I have been to too many Cleveland Browns games where it's been off the lake and it's been like it'll be
you don't need that.
And it's November. It is like no one there is in a good mood. Browns could be up by 14 unless you're blacked out or on the way to being there. It's just miserable. Like I remember we went against the Eagles when it was like bad. Like both teams were just bad. And it was a monsoon. Like everything was spinning. Like it was spinning inside the stadium. Like Baker Mayfield had no chance to throw a ball that game. Like it's a disadvantage for both teams.
Well, you must not be familiar with those the Bills Mafia. They love it.